physically present, feel free to interrupt and override or whatever the meeting needs. And with that in mind, I guess I can call this to order. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Good place to start.
All right, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is the October meeting for a special meeting for the Sustainable Rocky Hill Task Force. And there may be some new faces in the room, I think I saw. So just a quick overview. We are a task force set up by the town council to help Rocky Hill apply for certification under the Sustainable CT framework. There are a ton of different action items under the Sustainable CT framework, and these range from equity to clean energy to pollinators to sustainable materials management. Our goal is to try to inform the public about how they can take sustainable actions, advise the town electeds and town staff on how they might meet their sustainability goals, and record all of this so that we can submit an application for certification. And our goal is this April to file an application to get silver for the town of Rocky Hill. With that in mind, I'll do a roll call, and I believe, one second, let me just pull up the list so I can do it in order. Alan Baglia.
Present.
Right, Ed Ciccarello.
Here.
Oh, and Derek Kalin, I am present. Robert Downs. Yep, and I don't believe I see Saima Koser or Haritha Agabandi, who's the vice chair. So it's the four of us this week. And do I see some other faces in the room? Maybe we can do some quick intros here.
We have a member of the public.
Great.
Please feel free to just say, Brian, who your name is, and you can talk about this now. You want to wait, you can talk about it later, but we're happy to hear your proposal. Brian is present, he'll take it from here.
Just a quick intro would be fine for now, and then I think there's a public comment section on our agenda.
Fair.
I'm Brian Smith. I'm working on my Eagle Scout rank. I'm a Boy Scout in Rocky Hills Troop 121. And you said address?
Yeah, say your address.
174 Bailey Road, Rocky Hill.
Thanks.
Well, thanks for joining us, Brian.
Thank you.
Very good. All right. So roll call is complete. Appointments and resignations. As far as I know, there are none. But if anybody wants to surprise me, now's the time. And now we can open the floor to public comment. So this is the part of our meetings where we open it up and let people who are attending to tell us what they have in mind around sustainability, to raise project ideas or to ask questions. And while this is an area of time we have dedicated explicitly for public comment, by all means, anybody who's attending our meeting should feel free to jump in and participate in the conversation as we progress. But with that in mind, is there anything the public wants to say?
So go ahead, Brett.
So I'm currently working on my Eagle Scout project, and it is a conservation project here in Rocky Hill. I started it at Quarry Park exactly. I started it over the spring and the summer. I spoke with Mr. Ciccarello and Mr. Baglia. Mr. Baglia recommended I come here to just share my ideas. I am working on all 3 trails in the Quarry Park in order to just make it more accessible. I am trying to stop water damage and prevent it. I'm trying to repave the different trails and just clear cut the overgrowth so that people can access it easier. I am looking for any volunteers, and so I'm still in the gathering volunteer part of phase of my project, and I'm hoping to complete it this fall before the ground hardens and I can't dig to put in water bars.
Great.
just kind of jump in here quickly. I don't know, and we haven't done a lot of research on what action this would fall under, but it sounds like he's doing more than simply cleaning the park, which is one of those things where it's not necessarily like, you know, selecting litter on Earth Day is not really a CT action, but what he's doing sounds a step beyond that, and maybe even creating ADA access. So we're going to continue to talk about that as we learn more. And by the way, Craig Bowman's looped in on this, the Parks Director, with full support.
Great. That was going to be my first question. Craig would be a great person to talk to about this. Off the top of my head, Alan, I think you're right. Making something ADA compliant seems to be falling in line with Action 1, optimizing for equity. There's also Action 3.9, manage woodlands and urban forests, and there may be actions that we can do under this. And barring that, we can always file it as, a create your own sustainability act around maintaining a public park.
Gotcha.
So I see this being viable in a couple of different ways.
So can I just suggest going forward, rather than burdening Brian to come into a monthly meeting, maybe he could just give us progress reports, and we'll add it to old business. Just to reiterate, I think it's big to come in on a Monday night and report here, so I want to admire and recognize that. And if you think that's a good plan forward, it could be a written email that copies you or me that forwards to you and Ed as well. So that's probably the best way forward.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Maybe a closure report at the end of the project would be also fun, or more notable. Thanks.
And Brian, did you say that you're looking for volunteers right now?
Yes, I am. So I am recruiting different scouts to be part of my troop. I am part of the cross-country team at the Rocky Hill High School, and so I'm trying to recruit some of them as well. I am gathering some resources and volunteers from the town overall too, so any help would be greatly appreciated.
So we have a mailing list, a Facebook group, an official Facebook page, an Instagram account, and we could produce content for that. If there's a sign-up form or an email address that we can have people write into, you can let me know that, and then we can put together some material.
That's a great idea. Thank you. Yeah, I could try and create one of those.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, like if you had a Google form, for example, that might be the best thing, because then you can get people's contact information, and we could just share the link around.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You wouldn't have to share your email address. If possible, would somebody mind linking me and Brian together via email, and we could collaborate on that online?
Well, let me know if you want a separate email right now. Correct me where I'm wrong. Brian is contacting myself, Craig, Ed, and at least one other trail manager, Todd. That could get unwieldy, so maybe you just want one-to-one with Brian, but it's up to you. Maybe it won't get unwieldy, but if maybe you just jump onto that group and it's one giant catch-all of contacts.
Yeah, I appreciate that. My only goal is to coordinate with Brian and set up a form.
Let's do that then.
And
We'll do
have
it.
him review the stuff.
It'll be a single email me to you, hello, intros, and
Yeah,
so, thanks.
Yeah, I can go from there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great idea.
Can I just say that you're welcome to stay, obviously, and I certainly wouldn't blame you for not wanting to stay, but we'll be here probably 45 minutes. It's your call. Maybe you'll learn something, but it's up to you.
Thanks for coming, Brian.
Thank you. Cool.
See you on the trail, buddy.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Brian.
And did I see Janice Rubin walk into the meeting? Hey,
Yes.
Janice.
I did, lady, sorry.
That's okay, we're still in the, go ahead, Jared.
No,
Pardon?
I agree. We're in very early stages, so you're welcome. We're still in the public comments phase, so Janice, if there's anything you'd like to raise, or bring to the attention of the task force, here's the space to do it.
Well, I think I figured out the subtle way to get to this meeting room. It's really difficult if you don't know this building, but someone guided me here and now I know how to get in.
Okay.
So that's a plus, and besides that, no, I really don't have anything. I'm more interested in just staying in the loop if I can. Oh, I guess I'll ask one more time, Derek. I don't know if somebody can help me. Like, I followed you guys in Facebook and I joined the Action News thing, and I'm not getting any invites or emails or anything when you guys have stuff going on. So, is there someone who might be able to like walk me through that better?
Sure. I know I offered to do this and failed to follow up, so maybe Janice, what I could do, you and I can sit down and take a look at your Facebook settings, and we can figure out how to get the best notifications.
Yeah.
I don't know that we've had really many notifications go out recently though, so, I mean, when was the last time you sent an email through the Action Network?
For this,
Derek?
for this meeting, I didn't hear
Probably
until
for
Derek
the
emailed
Clean
me
Energy
this morning.
What's that? Derek?
Clean
The-
energy, clean energy.
The Clean Energy Forum.
Okay,
I
so
wrote
the
that
other
out.
thing that you might want to do is to go to the town website, because the town has notifications. I could find that.
I know where the town website is. I can get there.
Yeah, and then you can get notified for this meeting or any of the other commissions
Okay.
on that website.
And that's the real source of truth. We
Yeah,
can't
that-
meet unless it's advertised on the town website. So.
That is the source of truth. I'm looking for it right now.
So
Janice.
I'll try that, but if you're going to just at some point say what's coming up, I'll also jot it down myself. And then if I'm not getting invites, I'll bug you again.
Well, you should always feel free to bug me. It's my job to
Thank you.
make sure that
Here you
people
go.
who are interested in this thing,
So,
the updates thing.
have you seen this before? Have you been here?
No.
You go to the town website. Here's the town website. That's the town website.
Gotten there before.
Okay. Are you going there? Do you do it on your phone?
Derek, while they're in a sidebar,
Yeah.
what about something like over the winter, maybe we could have a project, not just suggesting, but also help to carry it out, a tutorial on how this website works, how you can find out how to get involved with the Action Network, how you can volunteer for pumpkin smashes, attend
If you want
energy
to,
summits,
it's
everything. Because she is making a really good point, that there is
I think
something of a usability hurdle for folks that want to get involved but just don't have,
because I'm not home all the
that
time,
intuition. So I'll leave it at that.
So use my
No,
phone.
totally agree. We
Okay.
onboarding people to our
Yeah,
processes
there's a
and getting people involved with our
definitely a learning
events
curve for
is
this.
important, and we should make it as easy as possible.
All right, that was anything else
Okay.
to add? Because we could carry on with public comment as long as,
No, I have
Look.
nothing else.
All right. Well, then let me go back to the agenda. Very good. So we completed public comment. Moving on to the next, actions taken / minutes for approval. So these would be the minutes for our September meeting. Does anybody have a motion to make around these minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion?
Notice nothing for me. I
No.
mean, it's probably better for us to verbally prompt you, right?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
we can shake our heads. So we will verbally prompt you. And by the way, if you want me to just prompt the next agenda point, I can do that too, because I see you're probably switching screens and that's not fun. So just let me know if that's something you want me to do as well.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, let's wrap up the minutes then. So if there's no discussion, I guess we can just go to the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Robert, do a thumbs up emoji if you're happy.
That's
Okay,
really the only-
there he is.
Yeah.
All right, so I think it's unanimous.
100% all we needed from him. Robert, thank you,
Amazing.
Robert.
Very good. All right. Next update, a report from the task force chair. So I have a visual to share and a general piece of news, which is that the task force and really the town at large has been busy. There's been a lot going on. Oops. Wrong window. Let me share Tableau. So, this is a visualization of my understanding of where the town is in its journey towards silver certification under the Sustainable CT framework. I think we're doing really well. So recent or ongoing events, well, we'll probably hear a little bit more about those in the updates on the working groups. So I won't spend too long on them, but I'll note that we've had significant progress with our efforts, the town's efforts to expand the sidewalk and bike lane networks. There will be some fun updates there. Moving forward on composting, both with the pilot with Blue Earth, but also potentially with the deep proposal. It looks like the larger project that was going to be funded by the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. You know, there's the scope of that has increased again, so that's a positive development that we can look forward to. And of course, we also recently had a clean energy forum where we talked at the town level about how the municipality, the commercial sector, and residents can start using clean renewable energy, what financial incentives there are, how the town can reduce these barriers, and what basically levers we all can pull in order to make this transition to a clean energy economy in Rocky Hill happen. So we're going to be talking a lot about that. As I see it, we are just shy of 480 points, and in order to make it to silver, we need something about 500 points. So by April, it seems likely that at least one of our outstanding or prospective tasks is going to get done. So we should keep moving forward and keep seizing these opportunities where they arise. And I hope that we will make it to our goal. Any questions on this?
No.
Nope.
Great.
Prompting.
Moving on then. We'll go to subcommittee reports. Action 5.4, assess climate vulnerability. So, this refers to an action that we're taking with the Nature Conservancy. The Nature Conservancy is facilitating a workshop for the town of Rocky Hill that'll help it to identify the strengths and weaknesses of the town for dealing with a changing climate. The first step in this process is to have a kickoff meeting with the core team, which consists of the town planner, the director of public works, and various other members of the town staff. I'm involved. Jason, I think, is also involved.
Yep. Fire chief.
There will be an initial meeting where we talk to the Nature Conservancy on, I believe it's November 6th, and from there we will be doing the planning for the workshop itself, which seems like it'll happen, who knows, it could happen in December, it may happen sometime early in the new year, but that's progressing addressing, and that's a major point to get her under the frame. Any questions on that?
No questions from me.
Nope.
Great. Alan, do you want to give the update on Fleet Streets?
I will.
6.1.
Yeah, I have, there's a lot here, but I'm gonna try to really sort of boil it down. And that is, we don't have a complete streets committee on this, in this body, in this task force. And I've given some thought as to why maybe we should. And I'd like to also bring that to the rest of the task force, and seeing that we're only 1/3 present at the table and only 2/3 present, I think maybe I'll bounce that to November, and we could have more of a table discussion about that. But what I do want to share is an important thing that's been discussed here before, and we're going to revisit this idea of the League of American Bicyclists and the ability to at least apply for certification for Rocky Hill, and with extremely realistic expectations, namely that there are only, I like this because it's the same framework. There's platinum, gold, silver, bronze. So we could follow this certification process much the same way we're following along our usual thing. Let me just quickly say that there's no platinum communities on the Northeast. There are 4 in the country: Davis, California; Boulder, Colorado; Fort Collins, Colorado; Madison, Wisconsin. That's the top bar. And Rocky Hill would probably be more capable of falling into something called an honorable mention, which is 1 step below bronze. And I read up on this, and that honorable mention would be, you'd be able to fall into that if you have, quote, a conversation at the town hall level about bike infrastructure, check. And about some public organized community bike rides, check. So we're doing some of those things, and I think we could be realistic and chase that, and then we'll pursue bronze. And finally, on the Northeast United States, the bronze include 10 towns in Massachusetts: West Hartford, South Windsor, New Britain, Mansfield, Hartford, Glastonbury, Farmington, Canton, and Avon. Those would be our peers. So as we're chasing bronze, we could reach out to those and say, you know, maybe ask what they've done. But you'll see places like Glastonbury that are doing full-on bike rack audits. Well, that's part of the framework, and they're doing that because it's a good idea, but they're also doing that because that will get them to silver. So learning what they're doing is a good idea, and I'm not gonna talk much more beyond that. Just to add that one of the gold on the Northeast is Somerville, Massachusetts, which is no surprise, it's a suburb of Boston. And let's pursue honorable mention. I think it's an attainable goal. And finally, the application is due by June 25th, 2024. Beyond,
I feel we'd be remiss if we didn't give the update as far as, you know, where the town council and our director of public works want us to go, which is, you know, at a recent town council event, they basically signed off on the idea of a bike loop, which members of this task force have been advocating for a long time.
For a long time, longer than some of us have been residents. I did take notes on that town council meeting, and I can quickly tick boxes. I'm not going to get too deep on it. But one thing I did see was that in the year 2000, this was a report by Steve Sopelek. In the year 2000, there were 30 miles of sidewalks in Rocky Hill. Now, some of those 30 miles include state roads, as a footnote. In 2023, he was proud to say that there are now 44 miles of sidewalks in Rocky Hill, which, over the course of 23 years, that's about a half a mile a year. And I don't know if that's good, I don't know if that's bad, I'm just reporting that that's what it is. Those are the facts. 44 miles of sidewalks in Rocky Hill at present. And let me just add that on the table, Jason knows this probably all too well, on the table is Elm Street, is Century Hills. That's some of us don't know Century Hills Drive, but that's a neighborhood more than it is just, or Century Hills Drive is specifically the roadway.
Between the condos that are on Century Hills Drive and Concierge Apartments, which
Okay.
is immediately adjacent to it,
Okay.
it's about 30% of the town's residents.
Yeah, it's good that it's being prioritized, and Glastonbury Avenue, I think we all know that's in review, and at least it was last said to be in review at DOT, so it's kind of on DOT's.
Yeah,
Like
and
right
that's
now?
a very narrow road compared to some of the other roads in town.
So DOT's taking their time to make sure that that's, Washington Street, those of us that have been paying attention know that Washington Street is now on the table. And Hayes Road, is also under discussion. And from that report, I'm seeing that things that are going to be entering this conversation is, sidewalks from Town Line Road on the Silestein. Again, a heavy, heavy lift, a big thing, given Silestein Highway exits, DOT, and our capabilities as a town is somewhat limited. One thing that was mentioned is that France Street is working its way up. It's almost like like the top 10 of sidewalks. And France Street is working its way up into the conversation to be retrofitted with sidewalks or repaired, or whatever the case. New Road, in light of the Rocky Hill Community Farm, is getting extra attention to have walkability. And Brook Street to School Street, which is to me slam dunk because of the Mosier School along Main Street / Silestein, would also be in that discussion. The question from Councilmember Duff, is this master plan on the website? The answer was not conclusive, so we'd love to know if that's something that we could share and link up on the website through our networks. Councilmember Duff asked about New Road and New Britain Avenue because of the Rocky Hill Community Farm. That's where his thinking is anyway. And I wanted to just then segue into the discussion about bike lanes. And I won't get too granular, but I think one thing that Steve said is that we don't have a formal bike pedestrian committee, which leads me to ask why not. Maybe we should. And it sounds like the town council would be in favor of such a thing. Granted, this means more meetings, but I don't think it has to be monthly. It could be as needed, or it could be quarterly. But we'll discuss that at a full table. We have a volunteer group, as you all know, called Walk Bike Rocky Hill. I think it's fair to question whether or not we have any influence, or if our influence is sufficient, because some of the ideas that we pushed back on were not necessarily taken to heart. Which leads me to the two ideas of bike lanes. One is a 4-foot lane off the curb, so you take your curb and you go 4 feet and you paint a white line, and that's a bike lane. The other concept is a sharrow, where you put that somewhat in the middle of the travel lane, and that's essentially a shared lane. And it sounds to me, as you were suggesting, that the town council really favors this bike lane as opposed to the sharrowed lane. Commenting on Councilmember O'Sullivan, who said, quote, "Sharrows are basically useless."
He said absolutely useless.
Excuse
didn't
me,
he?
absolutely.
Absolutely useless, yeah.
Basically and absolutely, I think there's a difference, so I'm gonna take Ed's note. He said they are absolutely useless. Town Manager Carpentino, Ray Carpentino said, quote, "Sounds like we do the full lane." Councilmember Duff then said, well, potential crosswalks to get this missing, the idea here is that you can't go on a state road, so you can't go from, say, Cold Spring to Brook Street because of the state road, but Councilmember Duff is saying, well, maybe we can get state to buffer these a little bit, or we can create more meaningful sidewalks so vulnerable riders can go from Cold Spring to Brook Street by using this conduit that is it could be a raised crosswalk, it could be a bump out, all kinds of things, but I'm really anxious to hear that conversation. And I'll leave it at this, that Mayor Marotta asked, quote, "Where is Mr. Ciccarella's bike path?" There was a 4-mile plan presented, and she was, I think, right to ask, well, where's the rest of it? And it's also fair to say that this will be a phased-in project. Mayor Marotta also asked, what happens when the lane abruptly ends? I think that's an extremely valid question. And she went on to suggest, would you then be biking at your own risk? And Steve's response was, quote, exactly. Not tenable, not what we're trying to do in a bike advocacy community. Finally, the idea of having a 4-mile one-way and then you turn around and go back is, in my phrase, a hamster wheel ride. It's not a connectivity. You're not getting anywhere. You're just going one way and coming back. That's a recreational ride. And some of us suggest more bike to school, bike to grocery store, bike to post office, bike to town meetings kinds of thinking. And I will leave it at that. If anyone has questions, I'm completely available.
So thanks for that, Alan. I'll just say, I'm sharing my screen now, and I will highlight that this is my understanding of the current scope of the bike lanes plan. So it is, I think, larger than the initial draft that Steve Sokolek shared. He's since revised it, and this is the current version as I understand. And to me this seems great. Like, this is definitely forward progress for the town. This is something that we can build upon. To pulling out different things that you said, Alan, and trying to LTT framework. Sustainable CT under 6.1.5. We get points for getting to bronze status. And ultimately, I think that's a great target for us to shoot for.
Sorry, for the League of American Bicyclists.
Yes.
Bronze, gotcha.
Bronze status for the League of American Bicyclists.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me. The Sustainable CT framework also does identify having a bike committee. And there's enough things within that are bike related within Sustainable CT that I frankly think it makes sense. Other ideas that you brought up in the past, Alan, of having biking infrastructure audits, bike rack audits, road audits, that sort of thing. Those could all really easily fit inside the bike committee. So if we do end up recommending that to the council, I think there's plenty of sub-bullets of things that bike committee could tackle. And then one last point is on infrastructure. We are currently doing road repavings and seizing that opportunity to put down new lanes. Jason, I think that road maintenance, especially if it's resulting, or road maintenance or enhancements, so the increase of sidewalks, the increase of bike lanes, all of this qualifies us for points under the Sustainable CT framework. And I think the metric is you count the number of additional miles or the number of X number of feet, and you get 5 points per distance, right? I'd have to review the stats, but it'd be nice if we were able to say, as a result, in the past year, we have gotten X feet more of sidewalks. We've gotten X more feet of bike lanes.
Can I add one thing, and I think we can move on as long as there's no more discussion, is that part of the bike-friendly criteria is to host an open streets event, which very briefly is an event where a town road is closed, sanctioned by all agencies, including the police department, and something takes place there over the course of 12 to 4 on Saturday. There are great opportunities to do this. When I met Ed and I knew that he did a car show on Church Street, I said, fine, that's a great, why isn't this in the roadbed? And so it's one of those things where we could work in collaboration with the Historical Society and with the police department and say the car show will be from the fire department to Brilliant Park. And there are no residential home access there. Maybe there could be some exceptions made for any number of reasons, but an open streets event is an extremely easy thing to do with the cooperation of agencies, also an extremely rewarding thing for towns to see this roadbed could do more than move traffic.
Fully agree, and yet another activity that a bike committee could tackle.
Correct.
In the interest of time, we can move on to some of the other subcommittee reports.
Absolutely, thank you.
Before you go on, I have a couple of points I want to just stress. Number one, I suspect a complete streets policy does call for a committee. Number one, it's probably the first thing that it asks for. Number two, I asked Steve to include our state greenway that exists already. Rocky Hill has a state greenway from Quarry Park to Dividend. I emailed him and asked him to put that on his current map. Derek, I'd ask you to also put it on the felt map. And it brings me to my last point, which is that felt map that you made is an excellent illustration of what we have. And I would ask somehow that we collaborate with Steve and have either some way update that felt map, because that is really a phenomenal illustration.
On that note, I know that in the town council meeting, he was even lamenting that, oh, I wish my map was better. I wish this was more legible. And I'm sure he would love to get the assist on that.
Yeah, and I've shared this with Steve, and we've talked about the challenge of GIS and how Esri licenses are expensive. One of the nice things about Felt is that it is pretty much free and it's very user friendly. So I can follow up with Steve on that, and if you could share me a resource on the Greenway, I can update the existing map. So plenty to move forward on there, but lots are happening with complete streets. Robert, do you want to give us an update on the energy forum?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I'll give a quick update on the energy forum. I think it was all around, I'd say, a successful event. So we had about, I want to say I counted maybe an audience of like 14, 15 people. I know Ed Sharmett was in the audience, and then maybe a couple more town councilors. Then we had our 9 panelists. So we had from our state government, state legislature, we had Carrie Wood was there, Councilor Duff and Councilor Levine were there from both sides of the aisle at the town elected official level. And then we had Joe Buonanata from Connecticut Green Bank, Mark Scully from People's Action for Clean Energy, Lori Brown from Connecticut League of Conservation Voters, Sam Dynasky from the Connecticut Sierra Club, and Alan Smith, who represented Operation Fuel. They all gave quite a comprehensive view of state level, municipal level, residential options, incentives, opportunities for renewable energy. So I thought the conversation was great, and then I'll let you elaborate further, I guess, on the details, Derek, if you have them. But I guess we're hoping the People's Action for Clean Energy, Mark Scully, he is with a team of, he's a former actuary, he works with a team of other actuaries or people who otherwise have expertise with data. He's going to help us come up with an energy plan. And then we also were talking about doing maybe some campaigns for heat pumps and a solarizing campaign, and then maybe working with our town to do some municipal energy audits and improving the efficiency of our buildings. So I don't know, that's 5 different action items I named, but all of those are under item 7, and
Yes.
get us more points towards under the Sustainable City framework. So I'll let Derek take it from here.
I will just say that this was a really exciting event to attend. For many reasons, specifically within the framework of Sustainable CT, there was a lot that we could build on for clear, easy next steps, right? And Robert's already outlined them. One of the actions under Action 7 is to develop benchmarks for our current, as a town, use of clean energy. And Mark came to the meeting with a report on this, using public data or data from their research. And I'm sharing it on my screen right now. Jason, I would love to share this with you.
I've seen it.
To get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I've been processing it.
It is
Extensive.
really cool. And the report is chock filled with stats about how much money the town, as a municipality, as residents, as owners of businesses, are spending on energy currently and how those costs could be reduced by our transitioning over to clean energy sources. Mark has offered to provide a template plan, energy action plan, which is again something under Action 7, which can then be adapted according to the needs and interests of the town. And he has expressed eagerness to talk with town staff about how this would happen. And then Joe from the Connecticut Green Bank talked a lot about, well, there are a number of programs. Some of them that were highlighted to me were the energy efficiency campaigns, how you can get residents to spend less on energy just by performing an energy audit and increasing the insulation within homes, reducing the amount of energy lost. And these again fall directly under Action 7. So it seems like things that we should continue with the momentum on. Jason, I'm curious, like, for something like an energy plan, and with an objective of growing the town's use of solar, for example, on municipal buildings or on schools, where would you recommend a conversation like that start? Is that a town manager level? Is that town planner or director of public works? Like, whom should we introduce to Mark?
I think it would start with the town manager, because municipal buildings are maintained by different departments. The schools are maintained by the school department, and so they have their own facilities manager. And then the rest of the municipal buildings are managed by a municipal manager. So it might be great to start from the top and work our way down to the individual departments. I know that there are some aspects of this that they've likely already gone through. We already do have a solar field in town, and I know that there were some lighting upgrades, but even that I think was a number of years ago now. So there may be some programs available that our facilities managers respectively already know and are interested in participating in, or maybe are already participating in. So yeah, it'd be good to, I think, start with the top, work our way down, and see what sort of programs have already been in use, and then see if there's things that we can do to try to increase and move everything forward. I think it'd be a great idea.
Fantastic. All right, so I can send the resources Mark Scully has already provided us to the town manager and CC people on this call, maybe our electeds who are also in the room for this presentation, and we can take it from there. Maybe we'll have to wait a little bit until after the election for the dust to die down, but there's quite a bit that we can do here, and it seems very exciting and low-hanging fruit. Excellent. Action 9.4, reduce and compost organic waste. So, this one's on me. We, as you know, have been for months organizing a pilot with Blue Earth Composting. We crowdfunded $5,000 to run a pilot that would bring 52 homes, 6 months of a composting service, which would introduce people to composting, unlock Blue Earth Compost as a composting option within our town, and also provide the town with data on what a composting program looks like. I'm happy to say that we were fully booked for our raffle. So we were giving away this 6-month service through a raffle campaign, and the raffle concluded on Thursday of last week, and we were able to get everybody, or to fill all 52 slots. I've transmitted the winners to Blue Earth Compost and to the town. We are talking with the town about sending out incentive checks, which should happen as soon as we get the money from the Sustainable CT in form of a grant. So it looks like this is happening, with a goal of the program starting early November. So that's a big deal, and that's something that we've been pushing for a long time. So the town also, as I mentioned, is pursuing another composting grant. This one much bigger than 5K, where it's going to be revising its proposal too deep upwards. Now that new details about what the bounds of the project can be, the scope is increasing, and so I'm looking forward to hearing the revised proposal, but we're expecting it to look a little bit different from the most recent iteration that we saw, which is around 240,000, 400 households. So, looking forward to the next town council meeting, where we'll get an update on that. Any questions on that update?
Derek, in regards to the Blue Earth, we need, somehow we're going to alert the public, right, of this?
Yes. So they should be contacted by Blue Earth and the town. The winners, I should say.
Correct, but also, patting ourselves on the back, right? We need to get out the fact that we've accomplished, that this campaign is over. Right? We're going to put out something through the Action Network, or
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
Once the checks start flowing, I'm eager to toot our horn on this one.
Also to add to that, if I can, just the idea that it's now unlocking the town to other residents that want to purchase the service. Maybe Blue
Yes.
Earth will handle that as well, to send comms to,
Right.
or advertise, I don't know.
Right. Now to begin that, yes, increasing the Blue Earth people, right?
Yep, absolutely. That is very true. So we start getting the benefits basically of this campaign that we've been doing, and we should start communicating the benefits to people. All right. Moving on to action 10, develop and promote community growing spaces. Alan, I think you had asked to have this included.
I'm really keenly interested in the Rocky Hill Community Farm and the progress that is being made there, so I also lurked onto a town meeting, followed along the land acquisition and farmland preservation meeting from October 24th. We don't have to spend too much time on this. This boils down to a barn. They obviously want to construct a barn there. It'll be the crown jewel of the site. And there's very clearly some expectations that are not being met via the grant money. So what's going to happen now, the goals for that committee are to have a special Zoom meeting in early November to convene for Steve Sobolek narrowing down 3 bids and providing a hard packet to the various options / building structures to the committee members. But all in all, it's said that the site is beginning to take shape, the road entrances are going to be cleared, the site pad for the barn is being prepared. There are probably some, minutia about it's an active construction site we don't have to get into here. But I do also want to follow this along. If we can perhaps add this to a continual agenda point, and if there's no update, we'll just pass along. If there is an update, hey, they picked this barn. I think it'll be good news for us because it is an exciting community development, and particularly as it applies to 10.4.
Yep, community growing spaces.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. And affordable housing.
Affordable housing, I had a question for Jason. I don't know if you can answer this, but there's three things that I was looking at. one of the ways we get points is by distributing, I think we may have had this conversation at Picker here, I don't remember, but distributing the completed affordable housing plan. And what it suggests in our action is that we distribute it to relevant municipal departments. And I guess perhaps you can educate me in regards to what departments you might think might be relevant. Relevant regional organizations, relevant local organizations, and community members. So I know it was created back in December of 2022. I submitted it to Desegregate Connecticut for their website. I posted it on our Sustainable Rocky Hill. I don't know if it's ever been posted on our official Sustainable Rocky Hill. That might be a good thing to do now. And then, of course, it was presented. No, that wasn't really presented, but the plant. There was a presentation on affordable housing through the church. Is that something you can maybe look into for next meeting, perhaps, Jason?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah, because I have to be honest with you, a lot of that, in terms of who the individuals to speak with, especially outside of the town, I need some more feedback from our town planner on that. But yeah, I'd be happy to get some of that information together, and I can provide that for the next meeting in November.
And I would be happy to help, mail it out if we just gather, again, I don't know if you got the list, the relevant municipal, relevant regional,
Yeah.
relevant local, and then community members. And they even say especially those involved in its creation. So yeah, great. We could maybe put that on the agenda for next month. Okay, great, thank you.
Sure.
I did follow up with Sandra, our clerk, Sandra, I don't know how to say her last name, but Sandra. And the last month we were told that the Affordable Housing Committee needed to be codified, and I wanted to know what that meant, so I asked her, and basically she said that the Affordable Housing Committee ordinance is in effect, and they codify new laws once a year. So the codifying of this, it should not hold up anything. So I did contact Kim Ritchie today, and I asked her about the affordable housing application. This is what we're this is what we're looking for. And Derek wrote an email, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, saying that this task force is willing to help to get the word out, to get this staffed. And Kim said basically that the application is in the works, as well as the bylaws. I asked her if there was any deadline to get that done, and she said there was no deadline, and she told me that she was dealing with the fair rent right now. We're sort of at a standstill in regards to the application and staffing. That being said, that's on the towns. That's something the town has to do. The last thing I'll say is that I would like to add something to the planning and zoning agenda, Jason, and I don't know how I would go about doing this, maybe through you. But one of the actions in our affordable housing plan, not so much the action of sustainable CT, but the action in our town's affordable housing plan says that we can add a fee on any zoning permit. So I want to have, I want the Planning and Zoning Commission to have a discussion on that in order to, and number 2, the big goal is to create a special housing fund. And this is actually authorized under Connecticut General Statute 8-2I. This is all in our town's affordable housing plan. So is that something that you could pursue, Jason, or is that something I should ask Ray Carpentino? Or?
I was going to forward that on to our town planner and see who'd be the best person to get that added to the agenda.
Okay.
I'll have to forward it to her and we'll see what she says. I figured she'd probably be the first person I'd run into, so I figured that'd be the fastest way I can get started.
Okay, and I'd be happy if, there's not much to it other than what I just said. But, somebody just would have to introduce it and have a conversation. What I will do in the meantime is I was trying to find some towns that have done this already. I thought Fairfield had done it, but I looked on the action and I couldn't find any information today. But I'll continue to look for other towns that have done this. But that's all I have for now, Derek.
Thanks,
So
Edward.
unless anybody has anything else
That was a
for
low battery note.
affordable housing.
Very good. With that, I think we are at the end of our subcommittee reports. Let me switch back to the agenda. Discussion of old business. So one of the action items that we had planned for in the last meeting was getting our sustainable CT or sustainable task force minutes on documents on demand, and indeed, many of them are now up there. So let me.
Thank you, Jason. Way to go, buddy.
Thank you, Jason.
Just doing all right.
Doing
I'll
IT
keep 'em
at the
coming.
moment. Pivoting from IT to planning. That's
Yeah.
great news, thank you.
Yep, and I know at least one person has already gone back and done research and looked at our past minutes, so.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll get up the.
You're already being used.
I have to go back through and get the packets up as well, just so people have those available to them too as they're looking at the minutes. So I'm going to work on that as the week progresses. So keep your eyes peeled. There'll be more.
That's our history, man. We're creating a history there. That's what that's all about.
I mean,
Yes.
really, we're just doing this so Robert can write his dissertation.
Yeah.
This is how we get our citations.
publish or perish.
So, thank you, Jason, and thank you for the town staff for facilitating that.
Happy to help.
And discussion of new business, so tentative schedule for 2024 meeting dates. Jason, do you want to provide the update for this?
Yeah, so the town is asking each of the committees and task forces to submit a tentative agenda for 2024, sorry, a tentative schedule of meeting dates. We've been, typically we've been operating out of this room, the council chambers, which is the one that provides the best audio and video feeds. Recently, just in the last few months, you've asked if we could change our meeting dates from Thursdays to Mondays because of availability of the task force members. So trying to continue on with a Monday schedule and looking at the availability of the room based on the tentative dates that the other commissions and boards and task forces have submitted so far. It looks like we'll be able to get this room for the last Monday of each month, with the exception of May. So that if that date still works for people, if the last Monday of the month, if Mondays don't work, then I can try to seek a different room for the last Monday of the month of May. I've tried looking at other Mondays that month, and this room just isn't going to be available. So depending on where I'm able to book, we should still have availability for audio and video recording. So I would obviously try to make that a priority. So I know we wanted to bring this up to the members to see if everyone's still on board with keeping Mondays, but I know we're also short on people. I can submit this, as is, and try to book that room that's still listed as to be decided. I was just curious to get as much feedback as possible before I submit this to the town.
We had a meeting in the community center. Does that room have a name?
Yeah,
Where
so
was it?
there's
1A.
1A.
1A is
But
the one that has.
But
the
we also had the film screening, and that
Yep.
that did have video capability. Did that second most recent meeting not have video capability for any good reason, or it was just?
I was told that the 1A, the one was not going to be available for
Oh.
that meeting, and that's why I hadn't intended on recording.
So
it.
we were in the back of the room.
Correct.
One
So-
B.
Right.
Run B,
Okay.
yep. Yeah,
Okay.
there was a divider up. So I would try to go for room 1A if possible, just because we can still do.
Yeah, that works for me.
You know, keep this as accessible as possible to the public.
Yeah, I mean, it's exception, obviously, but it's not a bad room, and we could work with it. There's a front long table.
Yeah. One of the other issues too was that one of the reasons why Monday worked was because of a school schedule for one of the members.
Correct.
So I would love to have her feedback, and maybe even too soon for her to really know. She may not have scheduled any classes yet for next semester.
Good point.
If we have to, we can change these dates. These are listed as regular meetings, and once these meetings are booked, I then would have to have special meetings in order to replace any of those meetings that get canceled, which does change a few things, but not a huge difference to this meeting. So it can always be changed, but it might be difficult to book rooms. It seems like Mondays are kind of a tough day of the week. Thursday is also a tough day.
Can I quickly point out that there's, in October, a couple of Tuesdays? Are those outliers? Or typos?
That is a typo.
Okay, good.
That's a typo. Okay. Sorry. I gotta double check on that one. There might have been a Monday holiday.
By the
for one
same
of those.
We don't have
I'll
to talk
see.
about October 2020.
You know what? I'm sorry. I remember what it is now. I think there's a town council meeting
Okay.
on the Monday for each of those months, October and November. So the room wouldn't be available. If Tuesdays are not acceptable for the group, I can shoot for Mondays, but it would be in a different room. So another point for discussion. Thank you, Alan.
Sure thing.
I think you can do that through the email, couldn't we? Couldn't you send that to, and have, I think it's Saima that is,
I have
Yeah.
each of your email addresses. So
maybe you can send it through email. I'm fine with it, and it's okay certainly to use the community center at any time.
Agreed. This schedule works out fine for me.
Maybe we can screen another movie.
Exactly. Okay. So I guess we'll wait for feedback from Saima and company, but it doesn't sound like this needs a motion or anything, right, Jason?
No, I just wanted to bring it up as a point of discussion. The timing was perfect because I just put this together the other day. So
Good.
But we have to approve it, don't we, at some point?
But we,
yeah, I believe we do actually.
So
I think that's in
if we have to approve it,
yeah.
perhaps we can make a motion to the extent of, approve it with the input of Saima and Aritha, or should we wait till next month? Can you wait till next month to approve it?
I think we could wait till next month. Basically, this is just to try to make sure that there's room for all of the committees and groups to meet in the spaces we have available in town. So we have time, but I believe that we have to have our agenda approved by January 1st, I think, so.
Okay.
I know how rooms get booked up and calendars change. It may make sense for us to do a motion now contingent upon the feedback of our colleagues. So maybe we do a motion to approve this, and then commit to also following up with Haritha and Saima.
So what would that be? Do you have anything in mind? I don't want to stumble through it, but a motion to approve Jason's proposed schedule contingent upon a task force email distribution to confirm. Does that make sense to you? Does you want to add anything?
I would say to confirm or to revise.
To confirm or to revise.
Yeah,
That's my motion.
and I would second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Need
Aye.
Robert's thumbs. Got Robert's thumb.
I heard an aye.
Yes. I heard an aye. All right, very good. It passes, and we can reach out to confirm with our colleagues on this. Very good. So that is the end of our agenda. So the only thing remaining on this is the announcement appointment date of our next meeting, which is Monday, November 13th. It's actually not too far. I think just to keep us out from the holidays and whatnot.
It's
So
the
we're looking forward to
13th?
doing this in another 2 weeks or so.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Room to be determined. I recently had to find a new room, so.
Keeping you on your toes with this meeting, man, all these rooms. It seems, we're doing that to not run up against Thanksgiving week for travel and so forth, and also to accommodate the Monday schedule. Is that my thinking?
I think that's right.
All right.
The 13th is.
So with
it's
that in
only-
mind,
it's only in
unless
2
there's
weeks.
any other
Wow.
issues to bring up,
Can move quick.
I can
20th might be a
go.
try.
I would only, in regards to the agenda for next time, I noticed I believe the agenda's been coming out the day before a meeting. Is that, am I right to say that?
For special meetings, that's acceptable.
Yes, I know, that's the minimum that's acceptable. And I'm wondering, Derek, I know you create the agenda. I'm wondering if, like some commissions get it out a week before. And the only
Absolutely.
reason I would
Yeah,
suggest a
we
week,
should push it out further.
I'm only suggesting more than 24 hours, because I think if somebody's following us, that's not following the task force, and if they only find out a day before, they may not be able to get to it. If they found out a week before, they may be able to arrange time to get there. So if it's possible, Derek, I don't know if that's something that you feel that can be done.
Absolutely. We should shoot for that. So
Perhaps-
I will do my best. In fact, I'll start early now and get the agenda topics rolling now, so that when what is it, a week before the 14th or the 13th, that's the 8th, rolls around, we can have an agenda published. It's a good idea.
Okay.
And a good way to make sure that people stay engaged with the task force.
Thank you.
Yep. With that in mind, I'll bring it to an adjournment. Thanks everybody for their flexibility with dealing with this hybrid setup. Thanks to Jason, and I assume that it's Raymond over there providing technical support.
IT,
So,
thank you,
thanks
Raymond.
everybody.
So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.